so sorry. And he's an older man now. He's frail and he's got underlying conditions and he can no longer, he still is himself, but there's still things that I'm just like, God, ain't nothing changed.
Do you feel bad for him? Do you look at him sometimes? You're like, I feel bad
There's
for
times
you.
that I look at him,
but for me, it's like kind of like a disgusted, like, hey, it sucks to be you. Like, you just, how miserable. How miserable.
So at my wedding, everybody was here. It was so much fun. I go back to, like, we were the oldest, so my siblings never got treated the way that I was treated. I catered to my mom and dad like nobody's business when I was in that house. Everything was my job. It was my job to iron his shirt. It was my job to polish his shoes. Everything was my job. And I was in charge of all the luggages. I was in charge. I was Cinderella.
Yeah.
Literally, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward to my wedding 3 months ago. My dad was getting ready. It was the day of. He needed to get his suit ironed. He needed to iron everything. And he asked me, do you have an ironing board and do you have an iron? And I said, Dad, we don't do that in this house. We use a steamer. So I gave him the steamer and I said, ask one of my sisters to do it for you. Because in my head, that was still the dynamic in the family because I was used to being the one to do it for him before church all the time. So then I come out and I see him steaming his suit. And I said, Dad, why are you doing that? Why didn't you ask one of the girls to do it for you? And he said, they're not going to do it for me. They would never do it for me. And I said, here, let me do it for you.
Yeah.
Because I felt bad for him. And I knew that if it was still 2 decades ago, he wouldn't be doing that. It would be me doing it. So a part of me was like, here, let me do it for you. Go sit down. I'll finish it for you. And he was very grateful and he was very, thank you for doing that. That's really cool. I didn't even know that this steamer was a thing. And it became this very casual thing. But in my head, I was like, why are you doing that? But then it's this thing in my head that's like, that's not okay. You shouldn't do that for yourself. Let me do it for you so that nobody gets in trouble. You know what I mean? And my siblings were
a grown woman.
As a 29-year-old woman, I'm still scared of my fucking dad. And all my siblings were just out shopping. They were just fucking around on their phones. And I'm like, you're sitting there. Why aren't you doing this for dad? Because growing up, this was instilled in my brain that dad doesn't do that. That's not what dad does. So it was weird.
Yeah.
And it's still like, oh, so you changed.
Yeah.
Like, you don't make the kids do that anymore. But now, as almost 30, I'm still like, no, let me do it so that you don't get mad. How fucking weird is that? You were there for that.
Yeah.
I came out of the bedroom.
Yeah, because I made a comment where I was like, yeah.
No.
Yeah, with the time.
That was so weird to me. I come out and I find him steaming his own shirt and I'm like, what are you doing? Why didn't you? I told you to ask one of the kids. Why are you doing it yourself? They're not going to do it for me. They don't do that. They don't do that kind of stuff for me anymore. And I was like, Dad, I got it. Go on. But now I look at him and I'm like,
well, but I remember being kind of surprised that he let you do that because, again, I never really thought about that dynamic as an adult. Now, like, I knew how things were when you were growing up, but I never thought about, and so there you are on your wedding day.
steaming somebody else's shit.
Your dad. Dude.
Because you know what? Here's the next alternative. My mom was going to do it for him.
I think he was trying to talk her into it.
If he wasn't going to do it for himself, he would have asked my mom to do it. And
there was a dynamic where they were having a conversation when you came in where it was like, because I remember feeling slightly irritated about it because I was like, you're a grown man. Like, why are you acting like this?
It's a patriarchy. That is so not a thing anymore. But even to this day, like, my phone rings.
He just doesn't know it.
He just doesn't know it. My phone rings and I'm like, oh my God. Are they mad at me? Are they mad at me? Are they mad at me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to stop myself and be like, you're 30 years old. You have 2 kids. You pay your own bills. They can't do shit to you anymore. you know? But because, like we said, it's an everyday battle of like, you're no longer that person. You're not doing anything wrong. There are boundaries. You no longer live in that house. They can't do anything to you. They can't hurt you. But every time I have to deal with them, it's like this subconscious cocooning that I do that's like, oh my
It
God,
almost regresses you.
Yes.
Isn't that
fucking
crazy?
weird is that?
Yeah.
And to be like my wife. My dad's calling. Let me answer the phone. I can't wait to talk to him. What the fuck is that even?
What's that like?
Yeah, my mom called me and I missed it because I was at work. I need to call her back. And I'm just like, my mom called, I'll call her later. That's nice. And even at 30, I still don't have that. And you know, there's moments with my mom now, I'm telling you, when my brother died, it's better. It's not the best, but it's better. And because now I know in my head, you're kind of paying for your fuck ups because now you're missing a child. So I know that I can be myself with you without you returning to what the fuck it was that you were, because you can lose another child. And not only that, you can lose your only grandkids that you have in this world. So get your shit together. And it sounds very cynical, but like, no, you're paying for your sins. You lost a child, so be good. You better behave.
Yeah.
You know? And it sounds really shitty to hold that against a mom, but also like, this is your reality now. And this is what you're kind of reaping what you sowed.
Yeah. Well, and two, I, for me, as someone who cuts people off, I feel that it's incredibly gracious for you to allow them what access they do in your life, you know, because I feel like it is kind of a balancing act for you to maintain that the health and well-being that you have worked so hard to create, and including them. You know what I mean? Because when you have unhealthy people,
they're coming for Christmas,
and you can't control them.
This is how far gone we are in our development process.
It is very much like you're constantly navigating stuff.
What helps me? Well, I don't really know if it's a help thing, but I know that I'm not a perfect mom because I didn't have a perfect mom to look up to. I had to figure out a lot of shit by myself. Half of that shit I figured out with my Abilene mom. And there were so many times that I was like, Steph, what do I do? My daughter said this to me. What do I say? And she really guided me to be this kind of mom. And I will forever be thankful for her, and she'll forever be my mom. But I know now I'm not a perfect mom. The older that my daughter gets, before I was like, she's going to be my angel child, and my son's going to be, he's going to give me a run for my money. But now the older that she gets and the more her personality is developing, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to fucking sneak out of the house. She's going to go smoke weed somewhere else. Oh my good gosh, she's going to give me an aneurysm. But I think to myself, okay, I'm not a perfect mom, and there's going to be something inevitably that happens that will create this gap between us. And I would so hope to God that my daughter finds some kind of grace to let me back into her life down the road, whether she has her own kids, whatever it is that she decides to do in her life. I would love to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm her mom and I want to see her evolve into this beautiful woman. And I just think to myself, like, whatever it is that happened between my mom and I and my dad and I, they would want to be a part of my life. Whatever the fuck happened in the past, live in the moment, life is short, I could die tomorrow. Or they could get into a fatality and I would have to fly to Utah and they're going to be on their deathbed, and I don't want to wait until they're on their deathbed to be like, I love you, I forgive you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead, it's very like, let's slowly get there, but also like arm's length. Yeah. come for Christmas. I'll see you once a year. And it's this every couple weeks text message. Hey, Mom, thinking of you. I miss you so much. And that's it. But like I said, it's easy for me because they're far away. But I feel like if the circumstances were any different, I would absolutely not be able to give them access to my life in the way that I do. And even then, she's not my go-to.
Yeah.
This shit popped off this weekend. I ran to you.
Yeah.
And there's so many times that I've tried to run to my mom, whether it's a relationship problem or a daughter problem or an ex situation. And I'll run to her and I'll call her and I'll vent to her. And she decides to not see my point of view. As a mom, I'm a different type of mom from you. I will harbor
like you just won't get it.
All the love that my kids can have. If it's not hurting anything, if it's not the wrong thing to do, I will keep all that love in my kids' life. But you will never understand that because we don't love this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I give you opportunity to do right by me, and you still choose not to, and that's okay. That's okay because I know I'm a good mom and I'm not doing anything wrong. And I fight for my kids.
Yeah.
Something that you didn't really know how to do.
Yeah. You didn't do.
Needless to say, she was left on red. And I never responded to her message. See you for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, and two, I think sometimes no response is a response. You know?
Yeah. Because then, hours later, she was like, are you having a good day today? I'm just checking on you. You know you kind of fucked up.
You didn't reply to my message.
Yeah.
Let me make sure we're good still.
You know you kind of fucked up, Mom. Stop.
Do you feel like you had or used any resources like along this journey?
I had you. I had Steph. That's all I had. I had two people that were always consistently. And you know how people are like, best friends are the kind of friends that you can go a year without talking and you just, your name appears on their screen and you're like, I have to talk. And it's like, not a day went by.
Yeah.
It was very much that. I'll make friends here and there. But it was never to our level. I would never just open up to somebody about, oh my God, this happened yesterday and I don't know what to do. Help. And that was it. Those were my only resources. And, you know, after my last marriage was in the ruins, I started listening to a lot of podcasts. And it was a mixture of just self-bettering stuff. Yeah. Like how to be a better mom or how to be a better spouse or how to be happy without anybody. And yeah. I think in this day and age, we're very blessed because we have so many things within reach now.
Yeah.
That you could.
The way my algorithm is set up.
The way my algorithm
I could just have an entire therapy counseling session.
Listen, I'll scroll and it's a girl doing glute workouts, and then the next one is a podcast episode with Jay Shetty, and the next one is shoulder workout. That's all my thing. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But that was it. It was just the constant. It's very true when they say, find somebody who is like a mentor to you, or who you would consider as a mentor, and listen to them and do as they do. And that's really all I've done, like, which is why I never turned to my mom.
Yeah.
Which is a sad reality. Yeah. But I would always call Steph.
Yeah.
I always would call Steph. I would always vent to you.
Definitely an embrace thing.
She is the mother of all beings.
Yeah.
And there's times where she's one of those people that will give you 5 words and they are just a packed punch.
Yeah. Well, and she's like, I know I haven't really hung out like a whole lot with her, but like when I do hang out with her, she's like really kind of one of those, when it comes to that kind of stuff, very quiet. She doesn't have to speak loudly, but you listen very intently to what she's saying, because every single word is like,
I messaged her.
And it'll be like, I don't want to say unexpected, but you're just kind of like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you should be like a guru or something.
I tell her all the time, you should charge for this shit, ma. Seriously, I messaged her about the whole situation with my ex and the kids, and I told her how Lily was taking it, and she was just like, follow your heart. You're a good mom. Follow your heart. And I was like, I should follow my heart. I have a really good heart. And so that was the green light I needed to send that message that I had typed up. I typed up this full message to my ex for a whole day. And I was like, I just need God, just let me know I'm doing the right decision. I'm making the right decision, that this is good for my kids, that I'm not doing anything wrong, and everything else will fall into place. And I copied and pasted and I sent it to her. And all she said was, follow your heart. And I said, because I have a good heart, right? And she said, you have a very good heart. And I was like, sent. And I was like, I'll figure everything else out later. And, well, I'm here, so. And you know, my daughter said, today was the best day ever. Yesterday. She said yesterday that it was the best day ever because she got to spend time with people that loved her. She got to see grandma and grandpa. Yeah. And then after that, she came home and she saw a movie with this family and these moms, and they slept at a hotel for a staycation with these moms. And she said, today turned out to be the best day ever. And I was like, and then after that, Paul was like, you guys are the best parents anybody could ask for. And that was the moment that I was like, see, confirmation. I did the right thing. Yeah. Because the kids are fine.
Well, and I think that's just so crazy, because I feel like as moms, we have those type of experiences over and over and over again where we are like kind of self-doubting and kind of gaslighting ourselves.
Are we doing the right thing?
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this okay? Should I? And sometimes we have moments where it's like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I fucked up.
No.
That was not good.
Yep.
That did not work out. That was never again. But for the most part, when you listen to your gut and you genuinely know that you are doing something for the good of your kids and this is what is best for them, you it's almost like a no fail zone. Like,
I think it's true when they say that every mom has this, it's a mom intuition.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say it's your inner being, it could be your still small voice, I don't fucking know what, but deep down inside within you, you just have this feeling from the very core of your being that this is good for my kids. This is what I need to do for them, and everything else will fall into place. And as long as a mom, you follow that still small voice for your children will be the ones to confirm to you that you did the right thing. And sometimes outside noise will try to play devil's advocate, but all the confirmation you need is from your kids, whether how small they are. Yeah. They could be 2 and 3, and it could come in the form of hugs and kisses. It could come in the form of cuddles. Or as a 9-year-old, they could tell you that this is the best day they ever had. And from an 8-year-old, you guys are the best parents anybody could ask for.
That's a pretty big fucking deal.
Listen, man, that's a big fucking deal. I'll take it.
I think I've heard that from my kids in a while. The last time was because I spent like $2,000 on a concert trip.
Okay. Best mom ever.
Darn right, this better be the best day of your life.
And we didn't even do much.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just goes to show, like, with kids, it isn't these grand things.
It's not. It's not. We literally went
Maybe
to
my
watch.
kids are broken.
And you know, that's one thing that I found myself, like, pulling back on a little bit because...
I was going to say, I feel like we're kind of the same. We like to do the big stuff for
We do. We do like to do the big stuff. And sometimes, the way my kids are wired, or have been wired, or the way I wired my children, they're just like, well, that's kind of mid. First of all...
Excuse me, what?
I know for a damn fact. You ain't been on TikTok. So what are you even saying right now? There's times where there's just like, well, it's kind of mid. But then there's other times that I book a night at a hotel and we just watch a movie and it's the best thing ever. And I think, I don't know if you can agree with me, but I think a lot of it in the beginning was me compensating for the fact that mom has been divorced twice and whoever mom falls in love with and we get attached with, they leave, and because mom just keeps fucking up these relationships, so we keep falling in love with people. And
mom guilt will make you do awkward.
Oh my god, it's the worst. Don't listen to it. And so like, here's this
the
big,
kids don't even give a shit either.
They don't care.
That's the thing.
Tell me why I spent $3,000 on a 3-year-old birthday party. It was a pool party for a 3-year-old. Did you think he knew how to swim? No. But it was like I wanted to be these memories that now at this moment in time, I'm like, he's not gonna fucking remember when he was 3 years old. He's not gonna remember the birthday party that he had. Yeah. And yes, it's very true when they say, you know, sometimes these parties and these gestures are for the moms, but it's also very true that, yeah, they're not gonna remember, but I'm gonna remember. Because I'm also growing with them and I'm making these memories for myself and them. Do you think I got a pool party for my 3-year-old birthday?
Did you?
The biggest party I ever had for my birthday was when I was 18. Leaving the fucking house, and it was only because I graduated high school. And it was this big whole thing so that my parents could invite their friends. I had 2 friends at that party. Get out of here.
I think mine was about the same for graduation. Although I will say there was maybe one or two that I can remember. I think ours was more one, we didn't have very many friends to invite, but
I was also very isolated because I was the gay Mormon girl. And I grew up in Salt Lake City.
Not like. Should we save that for another episode?
We should just let it all out and you just clip it. Part 1, part 3. Fuck. We could literally go on and on.
You could do your own version of Mom Talk.
Oh my god! I said that. West Texas Talk. West Texas Mom Talks. I saw that on TikTok. When Mom Talk became this whole thing and everyone's like, where's all the Georgia moms and where's all the Illinois moms? And I'm just like, where's all the West Texas moms? But I'm not from here, so I don't vibe with I don't have friends here. I don't have friends.
But then you're talking about moving to a whole nother state again.
Listen.
Or not again, but just again.
Sometimes marriage is all about compromise, you know what I'm saying?
So lame.
It's all about compromise. I haven't done a lot of that in my life, so I'm learning. Even if it means uprooting my life, it's fine. I'm still the same badass bitch wherever I go, so.
Okay, so last thing. Do you feel like you have moments where you're like, this is why I've worked so hard to break these generational curses that I have been passed so graciously down? Or where you're like, it is making a difference. These are the moments, or these are the things that, like...
Yes. And weirdly enough, it doesn't really come from my kids. I go back to the adult relationship. Both of us have 2 failed marriages. And I see the whole healing my inner child is more for my relationships with grown-ups that I know my kids see.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier I was telling you the story about how we were in Crumble and my daughter from the car was seeing me hug her other mom and be all lovey-dovey and gross in public. And next thing I know, I get a message on my phone from her, and she's saying, "You guys are so cute together." And that put tears in my eyes because I'm like, okay, it's working.
Yeah.
And I feel like the relationships that we have as grown-ups with other grown-ups, it projects onto our kids. Absolutely. Because they watch, they watch how we deal with everyday stuff, and they watch how we deal with hard days at work, and they watch how we deal with, you know, even just a small thing as I'm watching Titanic and I'm crying, and my kids see me and they're like, "Why are you crying?" Because I was watching a sad movie. Then don't watch a sad movie. It's the little things that our kids watch us do with other grown-ups and with everyday life that I have to be really conscious of.
Yeah.
Like, my interactions with my wife now, we come from very different backgrounds and very different core beliefs.
Yeah.
And I know that they see how we handle conflict.
Yeah.
And from my last marriage, it's very different, because now my daughter will go out of her way to tell me, "I like that you don't yell so much anymore. And I like that you guys only," she tells me all the time, "I like that you guys only pretend to fight, that you don't actually fight." Which is showing me that the way that we talk to each other and the way that we interact with each other is for her modeling what she needs to be when she goes out into the real world.
Yeah.
So even though it's not within the dealings with my kids, there are times where they test my patience. My good God, they test my patience. And I can very well be like, okay, I can handle this the way my mom handled it.
Yeah.
Or I can handle it the way that I wish my mom handled it when I was this age.
Yeah.
And I have to constantly remind myself that.
Oh, it's very intentional.
Very intentional.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I find myself relaying these ways of mothering to my now wife. You know, like such a small thing as Paul spilling a cup of milk. For her, it's like, "Why are you not paying attention?" And for me, it's very like, "It's okay, we make mistakes. Go get a paper towel and clean up your mess." Yeah, it's not a big deal. Yeah. "Well, baby, you need to focus. You need to focus on your cup of milk. Don't watch your iPad. This is why we don't eat in our rooms." Okay, they get that.
Yeah.
But also they're kids.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the things that come out of her when it comes to disciplining is like things that I would hear as a child.
See, and me too, but I feel like that has been a really hard one for me to break. My mom was a yeller, and even though I understand that now, like, I hated being a yelling mom, and sometimes I still have those moments. And even though I pull myself in and I apologize and I take accountability and all that kind of stuff after, it's the fact that it happened in the first place. And it's so weird because even though I grew up with things a certain way, it has been so hard for me to change certain things. Not everything, but things like that and the yelling, where my first reaction is sometimes, "What were you doing? Why, whatever." And so I have to be very intentional about that one because that was one of my least favorite things, and I think watching you with the kids with that has always been a good reminder for me, because sometimes I notice my initial reaction is like,
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm Asian.
No, but I do feel like you're watching you, especially in those moments. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
I want to be like that. I want to handle those situations. And I am so much better than where I was even just a few years ago. And Trey had actually pointed it out to me at one time. And he was like, "You deal with them so much. Like, I don't like that." And I was like, "Well, I don't like you very much." But it was one of those moments, one of the few moments in our marriage where I was like, maybe not. Maybe I should work on this. Yeah. So that has been a newer thing for me where I've been more conscientious of it. But I love the way that you.
There's times, Mom, that and you know.
What mom doesn't though?
Oh my good God. Come on. Can I get an amen? Right? There's times that I had a really shitty client and this client took it out of me, or everything went wrong in the morning. And but then I remind myself, okay, just because I had a bad day doesn't mean that I can take it out on my children. Mm-hmm. Just because my threshold is very small because of everything that happened today doesn't mean that my threshold should stay that way when it comes to dealing with my kids. Don't get me wrong, man. There's days that I'm like, I look at my wife and I'm like, I'm so overstimulated. Can you please? Yeah. Or else I'm going to lose my shit. And she'll be the one that's like, you guys, Filipino mom's going to come out. I need you to, please you don't want Filipino mom to come out. Because I will. And
see, I have to tell Sophie. That's something that I have started doing is, and part of me I don't like telling her, but she is also the only older one that understands it. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I will look at her and I'm like, I'm feeling very overstimulated right now and I don't want to yell. And so I either need space or I need y'all to just please listen to me. Yeah. Like I am begging you. Yeah. Like I feel physically sick right now because I can't. Mm-hmm. And like for Ava, she's very physically affectionate. Her love language is physical touch. And so she likes to be all up in my bubble.
And you're just like,
and so to a certain extent in the evening, I'll let her be there. But then I have to tell her, like, I love you so much. I love snuggling with you and whatever, but I need you. Like, this is not about you. I was like, mine just can't be touched right now. Mm-hmm. Please back off. And so I've noticed I've started to do that like you do with the
I started doing that with the kids, and I need to get better at it, but I find myself sometimes being overstimulated and it coming out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Because the kids are like, Mom. And I'm just like, Mommy's patience is running really low. I just need 10 minutes. Yeah. Just go entertain yourself for 10 minutes, and then maybe we'll talk about it later. And there's times that it comes out that way, and there's times where I'm like, okay, baby, I can't right now.
What?
Get the fuck out. Yes!
What?
What?
I'm sorry. What?
Seriously. I felt that audio so much because that was me. And my mom and dad both yelled. And I think I let that side of me come out now with my wife more. And she has to hush me. But with the kids, I'm very conscious about, okay, I can't, don't do it. And there's times where I'm talking to them with so much love and patience, and this vein is popping out of my forehead. But I'm doing it, but it's going to combust. Yeah. And there are times, too, that I can't hold it in. I lose my shit. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it'll affect their whole demeanor, and it'll make me feel like such a shitty mom. And I'm like, I should have never let that out to begin with. And those are the moments that it's very important for me to be like, okay, I yelled because I told you 3 times nicely, and you didn't listen to me. Yeah. So why don't we listen the first time so that mommy doesn't have to get there? Yeah. But also, I'm sure there are other moms out there that's like, well, you should have enough discipline. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. It's not real life.
It's not real life.
It's not real life.
Yeah. No,
I think as long as we're trying, later on the kids are they're gonna grow up and they're gonna be like, Mom did a really good job. She tried. And that as me now, because I see so much of my generational trauma unfolding as a grown-up, my goal as a mom is to give my kids good stories to tell when they're my age. And I don't want them to be like, yeah, Mom yelled a lot. Yeah. Mom did this a lot. Yeah. And we just took care of ourselves in the house because she was always in the bedroom taking a nap. Like, I don't want that.
I don't want to give my children a childhood to heal from.
Yes. Amen. That's exactly So it's the perfect way to explain it. And I tell her all the time, like, we'll get in these spats of like, don't talk to them like that. Because I don't want them to grow up one day and say, well, mom talked to us like this. And it's kind of, it's a battle. Not a big one. Okay. We can't do the Robux thing yet, baby. Doesn't whisper.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think Ava, don't do that. Thank you.
My son doesn't know how to whisper. I'm sorry. Physically incapable. Pop. Come here. Yes, mom. Look at what we're doing.
What?
It's a podcast.
What's a podcast?
It's like what mommy does on the microphone. So I need you to whisper.
Okay, sorry.
Can you try it again, whispering? He doesn't know how to whisper.
But no, I think that's really what a lot of it boils down to is that like I don't want my kids to have to heal from their childhood or go through what I went through. That is like my driving force, whether it's my own shit, anything they're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently talked to a mom who was a DV survivor.
Oh, God.
And, you know, I had asked her if I could ask some questions. I had done a photo shoot for her for free. And I was like, can I kind of talk to you a little bit? And she was like, yeah. So I said, one of the questions I asked her was, what was the moment that you decided you had had enough? Because I'm assuming like this was not a short-term experience of physical abuse.
Never.
And she was like, no. She's like, it was almost from the very beginning of our relationship. And I said, so what made you decide? She goes, when he assaulted me and my children witnessed it. And I think that's a really big part. Like at the very beginning of the episode we were talking about, there's something about your children that will forever and always inspire you to like just have this never fucking again moment where it's like they will never experience life the way I experienced. They will never go through what I've gone through. They will never, you know, never again.
And even in the small comparison with my daughter is very notorious comparing this relationship to the last one. It's quite great, honestly.
Super fun.
It's super fun. But there are moments where she's like, thank you, honey. She's like, I like that you don't yell so much anymore. I like that you guys don't really fight anymore. Because you fought a lot with.
Well, and you probably didn't even think or feel like y'all did.
No, I didn't. And it is eye-opening for me for her to verbally express like, Mom, did you know that you don't yell as much anymore with Mom Lily? And I'm like, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, baby. And in the beginning of our relationship, she was like, Mom, you just seem so happy.
I mean, for your kid to pick up on that and say and verbalize,
and I just sobbed with her in my eyes. I mean, with her in my arms, because I was like, you know that you pick up on it,
yeah.
And it's the little things that I'm telling you, your kids will be the one to confirm you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. They moved it out here.
Señora.
Well,
This was the most laid back episode podcast, and I loved it. We just talked for 3 hours straight.
we'll have to go back to Odessa.
I'm telling you, you should spend the night.
So anyway, thank you for
Anyway,
doing
this was
this
fun.
with me.
Can I
We need
start
to
mine
do this
back up?
again.
Very dangerous on the road. It's the elements. Doesn't really. So, the next time we do this is going to be on my podcast.
It will be, because you're going to continue.
Can't find it.
You ain't a quitter.
Find it and find it. I
When
can't
have
find
you
it.
ever been a quitter?
Twice. You really want to ask me that question?
Yeah.
I love you so much. You're the best friend I ever had. We're way past that. She watched a kid come out of my vagina. Edit that part out.
No, we're not.
Don't.
We're keeping that in. That's the level of closeness we're
It
on.
is. Instead of my mom being there, it was you. That's how much of a resource you are for me. Instead of my mom there in the delivery room, it was you.
I'm very honored.
Who the fuck else was going to be there?
But still,
She watched my hoo-ha rip apart.
wasn't that bad.
And a human come out. She was also like 4 pounds. So.
So anyway, I will see you for our next episode, and we're gonna figure out what next episode you're gonna be back for. And can't
Next
wait
is
to-
relationships.
That's a very broad category.
Romantic relationship.
Also, still very. So, I can't wait to do another episode with you. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.